Hello, Kit Crowne here, your mortgage consultant for life. Welcome to this week's Mortgage Moments video. Today I'm starting a three-part series on appraisals, what they are and aren't, why they're important and why they're meaningless, and what they do for you and what they don't. So just what the heck is an appraisal? The first thing you need to know is that the house you want to buy doesn't have an intrinsic value. That is to say, that an appraiser can't just look at a house by itself and say it's worth, $300,000. Instead, it's inferred from the sales of at least three other similar houses that have sold recently, ideally within the last 3 months, ideally within a 1 mile radius, and that are similar in style, Cape houses compared to Cape houses, for example. Now, because no two houses are exactly the same, the appraiser makes value adjustments for the differences in the size, condition, and features of the properties that have sold recently to come up with comparable values, and they use those numbers to derive a market value for your new house. So, here's why the appraised value is important. Your lender will base the amount that they lend you on the lower of the two values, the price you've agreed upon with the seller or the value that the appraiser has determined the house to be worth. Let's put that to the test. Let's say you have a contract to buy a house for $300,000 and the appraisal comes in at $325,000. That's great, but the bank ignores the higher appraisal amount and determines your loan to value on the lower contract amount. If the appraisal comes in at the contract price of $300,000, and that's often the case, well, the numbers are the same, and the bank lends basically on both numbers. But what if the appraisal comes in at $290,000? Well, now we have a big problem because the bank ignores the contract price and determines your loan to value on the lower appraisal amount. If you're financing 100% of the purchase, suddenly you need $10,000. The seller wants $300,000 for their home, but the bank is only going to lend you what the appraiser said the house is worth, $290,000. And if you don't have it or don't want to pay more than the house is worth, we have a problem. Here's what really happens though when a property appraises for less than the contract price. Your real estate agent will share the appraisal with the seller and ask them to lower the price. Most of the time, that's what happens, and you're happy because you paid less for your new home, and the seller is cranky that some of his neighbors, the ones whose houses the appraiser used as comparable sales, sold their houses for less. Sometimes the seller says, no thank you, or the seller owes more than the appraised value and can't sell for less, and you're left having to decide whether to overpay for the home. And yes, that's a thing. People do that sometimes. Where it gets really sticky is when the part of the contract price includes the seller paying some of your closing costs. Again, let's put some numbers to it to help make this dense topic a little clearer. Your contract is for $300,000, and that includes the seller paying for $10,000 of your closing costs. That really means that the seller is getting $290,000 for their house. The other $10,000 is an accommodation for you. If the property appraises for $290,000, the seller is going to tell you you're going to have to come up with the extra $10,000 for closing costs on your own. And if you don't have it, well, that's when there's a problem because the seller may decide not to reduce the price. Yikes. Next week, we're going to jump into a discussion of what appraisers are looking for. And the following week, we'll wrap it up with some war stories that I've collected along my journey that will help flesh out why appraisals can return some surprising results. Well, that's it for this week. Thanks for watching. And remember always that I am here every day to help solve the problems that living life on life's terms sends your way. Keep my number close by so you can reach me anytime you need my help or anytime someone that you care about needs someone who will care about them as much as I care about you. See you next week.